Hi, juniors. We are some of the junior school counselors, and we are here to talk to you about course registration, progress to grad, and your GPA. So, very important topics. My name is Jolene Filio, Miss Filio for short, and I will be going into course registration. So, let's take a look at the process. A lot of you may remember this picture from last year. This is the overview of the registration process. So in the near future, your teachers will start having conversations with you about course recommendations for next year. And please ignore the dates. Those are old. We will have updated versions for you on Schoology. But what happens in those conversations is that your teachers will talk to you about your goals, what kind of courses you want to take next year. And really, as a senior, you have a lot of choice. There's a lot of different English classes, there's a lot of different science classes, history classes, and you can really tailor your course to your interests. What is important to note is that you should be proactive when talking about your classes to your teachers. For example, if you're thinking about a level change, or if you are really interested in this one specific class and it's like your dream to get into that class, let your teachers know because they will be your ally in trying to get that done for you. So after you talk to your teachers about your course recommendations, they will enter that into a form. And now it's your turn. So you can request any electives that you might want to take that do not need teacher recommendations. And you can change your level. So if you were recommended, for example, for AP, but you think, oh, I'm already taking too many classes, it's a big workload, you can request a lower level. Um, and after that, you will be talking to your counselor. So all of us counselors will be looking at your course requests, making sure that you have a very balanced schedule and, that you're making time for not just your classes, but you have time for to take care of yourself, to do fun things, to have any activities and clubs and stuff like that. And finally, verification day will happen. And this is kind of the end of the process and is the absolute last day that you can change your mind about your courses. So all your classes will meet and we'll double check that you have the right classes that you want at the right level for next year. And we will show you a verification card so that you can have a final chance to add or remove course requests for next year. So what does that card, registration card, look like? So some of you might remember this from last year as well. So as you have your conversations with your teachers, they will fill out what course name you want for PE, English, history, math, and all of those other courses. And then you can also add some classes that you want for electives and like the fine or performing arts or any additional courses that you might want to take. And also, very important, because you have so much choice this year, please, please, please put some alternate courses, especially for English, history, math, science. A lot of the very popular classes get filled out. And so if you don't have an alternate class, then you might get stuck in a class that you're not very excited about or that you don't want to take. So please, 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 when you are having conversations with your teachers, make sure that you're picking a main class and also one or two alternates that you are also excited to take. All right, so how we did know exactly what course to take, that will be discussed in Progress to Grad. So here's Miss Kennedy to talk about the Progress to Grad.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Kennedy, and I'd like to talk a little bit about graduation requirements, promotion credits, and accessing your progress to graduation as you think about senior year. So let's do a quick review. All of this information can be found in the Newton North Opportunities catalog. First, take a quick peek at the fact that you have to have 72 credits to be a senior. You have to satisfy specific graduation requirements to graduate from high school. They are 4 years of English, a year of life science, which is typically biology, taken in the junior year, a year of physical science, which is typically physics, that you take as a freshman, 2 years of history, typically it's World History 1 and 2, taken freshman and sophomore year, U.S. history, most people take that junior year, 2 years of math, freshman and sophomore year. However, I strongly recommend that you take 4 years of math for pretty much anything that you might want to do after high school. 5 credits of physical education, which is typically 2 credits freshman year, sexuality and health, and your PE class, 1 your sophomore year, 1 your junior year, and 1 your senior year. And lastly, 5 fine performing and technical arts credits. And I also have a screenshot here of some of the classes that satisfy that requirement. You can refer to this page also in the Newton North Opportunities catalog. Plus you need 35 other credits to get you to that 100, which is the magic number you need to satisfy diploma requirements. My hope is that you look at your progress to graduation closely so you can determine what you need to take your senior year to satisfy your graduation requirements. So where do you find that information, your progress to graduation? Let me introduce you to our fictitious student whose name is Greg Brady, and we're looking at Greg's Aspen account. And to find your progress to graduation, just like I'm going to find Greg Brady's, I will go into the document section of Greg's Aspen account, and there's a second document section in Greg's Aspen account. If you notice, Greg has a Newton North progress to graduation, and you double click on that PDF and click OK to get your progress to graduation downloaded. And it will look something like this. This is a sample progress to graduation. You'll notice that it has freshman year final grades and credits, sophomore year final grades and credits, and also this is a mid-year progress to graduation, so it has the students' junior classes and first and second term grades. I strongly encourage you to take a close look at this document, making sure that you have all of your freshman classes, accurate final grades and credits on it, sophomore classes, accurate final grades and credits on it, and your junior classes and first and second term grades accurately on it. All of those documents are also in your Aspen account. I took the liberty of I filled out this grid for this student. When you look at your progress to graduation, your grid will be totally blank. So I invite you to put in all of your credits by department and your credits from junior year, assuming you pass all your junior classes, so that you can calculate how many credits you foresee yourself accumulating by the end of this year. This student should have a total of 87.75 credits at the end of junior year, leaving this student with needing 1 more credit of phys ed, 5 credits of English, and a bunch of other credits to get to 100. You will work with your school counselor to create a schedule senior year that is what I call complete, and I don't mean completely filled, but what I mean is that it has enough credits to satisfy the expectations of Newton North. I encourage you to have a healthy balance of challenge and fun classes and some breathing space your senior year. I also want you to note that on your progress to graduation, you will have a GPA, which is calculated and posted on your progress to grad in your Aspen account. I encourage you to talk to your school counselor if you have any questions about that. So that's what I have to say about progress to grads, checking for accuracy, thinking about senior year schedule, making sure you have a healthy balance of classes, some fun, some breathing space, so that when you are taking care of your college applications or your applications for whatever your post-high school plans are, you have enough time to handle that in addition to your coursework. And now, Mr. Manning will share the latest information on GPAs.
Okay, hi everyone, Mr. Manning. Good to see you, even though I can't actually see you. We'll all pretend we're looking at each other because that's what we're doing now. So GPAs, based on the number of emails I've gotten from you, this might be the biggest question of your entire class. So let's actually give you some information, let you know what's going on. First things first, I think there is a lot of confusion about what a GPA is and what it isn't. A GPA really is just a chance for us to give you a quick glance at like sort of where you're at academically. It's important to note that this does not mean anything outside of Newton North in a lot of ways. When we send your grades to colleges and universities, if you're applying, they're going to transfer and calculate their own GPA. So our number is helpful for you to kind of give you an idea of where you're at, but it's not like some sort of sacred text that is being used throughout the world. So when we give you these numbers, I want you to keep that in mind, that we're doing the best we can to kind of help you kind of understand where you're at, but it's not going to be interpreted the same way by everyone. We do our best to give you an idea, but it's not a perfect system. So obviously over the course of your 3 years now, you've had 2 different grading systems. Well, you could say 2.5 because last year there was also the pass option. So it's really hard to try and figure out a way to represent all of that numerically when it's all different. So this year with the A, B, P, and G options, as opposed to the more traditional A through F options, they didn't match. So what we have chosen to do is we're going to give you basically 3 GPAs, and you will find them on your progress to grad. And because of this, it's going to look different than the sample you saw when Ms. Kennedy showed you the progress to grad. The first thing you're going to have is a weighted GPA from 10th grade. So for your freshman year, you were under the policy that freshman year is not included in your GPA. So because of that, your GPA was going to be based on 10th, 11th, and 12th before everything went crazy. Now, your 10th grade scale was on the A through F, so we are using the traditional scale that we used in that on a 5.0 weighted scale. What that means is an A is worth 4.0 down to an F being worth 0 at 1 point intervals. So you say 4.0, but how do I get 5? We do give you either half a point or a full point for taking an ACP class or an honors or AP class. So an ACP class, you get a half a point added on to your total. So an A becomes a 4.5, whereas an honors or AP class, we add 1 point on. So an A now becomes a 5. So that's where your 5.0 scale comes from. So on your GPA, you will see a weighted GPA from grade 10. That number is not going to change. Nothing's going to happen to change 10th grade. That's over. You are also going to have an unweighted GPA. So what this means is this is going to be on a 4.0 scale. So again, A is 4 down to F equals 0. And that will not have any points added for level of class. So that just gives you a straight number based on the grades in the classes. So that's pretty straightforward because that's pretty common around the country in terms of how people calculate GPA. What we had to deal with this year was we have this new system. So we are using a similar numerical system, and we're saying A is equal to 4, B is equal to 3, P is equal to 2, and NG is equal to 1. So you'll still be able to get a numerical value. Obviously, it wouldn't be make a lot of sense to try and factor that in. So the cumulative GPA is not going to be a thing anymore. It's going to be a year-by-year GPA. So you will have a 4.0 GPA scale for junior year, and what you'll see is that up through term 2. So we'll calculate your GPA based on the 2 terms you've had. At the end of the year, there will be an updated GPA for the whole year. So going into senior year, you'll have 3 numbers on your progress to grad. You'll have the unweighted, the weighted from 10th grade, and you'll have the 1 GPA from junior year. As for senior year, we have no idea how we're grading you at this point. So we have no idea what your GPA is going to look like. I'm promoting that we do something on a 17-point scale, because let's just pick a number and throw it out there at this point. But we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if that's going to get much traction. But we will continue to work with you. We'll make sure you guys know what's going on and that you understand how this is working, but that's where we're at right now. So again, any questions, please check in with your school counselor. This is new to everyone. We're doing the best we can to kind of give you a good representation of what your grades are. And again, I want you to remember that schools are still going to see the work you've put in. They're still going to see the rigor of your course load, and they're still going to know the rigor of Newton North. And so that's all not going away just because we changed our grading system or we changed how the numbers are represented. So kind of remember that and keep that with you as new things happen. You don't have to panic about this, because we've also talked to a whole lot of colleges. I was on the committee that came up with this idea, and we talked to hundreds of colleges to find out how they were looking at this, and we made this decision with that in mind. So awesome. All right.
All right, thanks, Mr. Manning. So just to recap, course registration, remember to talk to your teachers, be proactive, and make sure, please, keep the balance in your schedules and select alternates for all of your courses.
Okay. And regarding your progress to graduation, please go through it with a fine-tooth comb. If you transfer to Newton North, you'll need to meet with your school counselor and go over your records from your previous schools. And if there are any errors, please make sure they get fixed.
All right, and we have thrown a lot of information at you. We're also uploading a lot of information onto our Schoology pages. So keep an eye out there for all the different information that's available to you. And it's really important. We're going to try to meet with all of you individually. So reach out to us to make an appointment, and we will find some times over the rest of the semester to check in. Thanks everyone for joining us, and welcome to the college search. It's on.
Bye, everybody.